Hey, today we're in chapter 9 of John's Gospel as we work through our 21 days at home with John. I love this chapter. It fits so well with where we're at right now, and I think some of the questions that I do hear people asking, things I see on social media and in other spaces, because it's all one story in the whole chapter, so it's the only thing we have to talk about. But it opens with the disciples asking about this man who was born blind, right? And their question is, did he sin or did his parents sin? Why exactly? So there's something bad and there's something wrong here, and we have to associate that somehow with sin, right? And somebody's specific sin. And there's all kinds of assumptions around that in terms of why do bad things happen? Well, the disciples assumed that bad things come upon people because it's some sort of judgment that God makes during their lifetime. And Jesus' response is beautiful. I mean, he tells his disciples, it's not about the sin. But if there's hurt in this person's life, and if there's hurt in this world, it reveals an opportunity for God to bring healing. And that's just what Jesus does. He brings healing to this man born blind. He heals his blindness, and he's able to see, and events kind of ensue from there. But just take that piece of, why does this exist? And Jesus says it's not about why is he born blind, but the fact that he's born blind, it's an opportunity for God to bring healing. And how does God do that? Well, he does it through his presence. And at the time of the disciples and Jesus, God was present where? In the person of Jesus. So what about our time? Because I do hear the question being asked about coronavirus and our economic situation and so many other things and the difficulties that we're going through, not just as a nation, but as a world. And I hear some people attributing this to sin in some way, or just trying to make that similar association that the disciples did. I've even heard it asked, I'll say, is this a sign of the end times? On that one, I'll just say last month, last year, and last decade were all parts of the end times. So if this feels like the world is broken, yes, it's a sign of the end times, because that's really what those are all about. But in the context of our story today, if there's a hurt that we feel and a hurt that we see, it's an opportunity for God to bring healing. And how does he do that today? Well, he does it where he's present, and he does it through his presence in his church. There's an opportunity for healing to be brought into this world through you and me, because God is present in us by his Spirit. And that's who we are as the people of God. We're ones who bring God's presence into this world. He chooses to make himself present through us and our proclamation of his word and sharing his love with other people and calling others to believe in him, to repent, to seek his forgiveness, to seek healing. And we bring that healing, each and every one of us. And so we get to do that, even at this time. And there are a lot of stories about the light shining in the darkness in our own time, of healing being brought into this world through God's people. And here's what I'd like you to do today in terms of comments and such. If you're watching on Facebook, or if you need to send it to me directly and I'll share it with others on social media attached to this video, I want you to do this. Fill in the blank. I see God bringing healing into the world through, and you fill in the blank. I see God bringing healing into the world through a person, maybe. I see God bringing healing into this world through something you read. I see God bringing healing into this world through what my neighbors are doing for one another, with one another. You fill in the blank. Where have you seen healing? Because if there's hurt, it should cause us to look for where God might bring healing. That's what Jesus points to in chapter 9, John's Gospel. It's fun to read with you. It's fun to get the feedback from you. Let's keep encouraging one another as we follow Jesus together. I'll see you again tomorrow for John chapter 10.